kind of time that you had on the ground today?
I think it'll. I mean, the pink ball plays relatively normal at this time of day, this time of light. I think the challenge will be how much of the test match is under lights, because obviously the sunset's quite early here, sort of 4 o'clock, 4:30, something around that. So I think that'll be the time when we'll see the pink ball come into play. And my experiences are only from watching on TV, and so that twilight hour, dusk, seems to do a little bit more. So I think that's going to be the exciting period of the test match. And that'll be the period of the test match where tactically teams might try a few different things. There's 1.5 sessions, I think, that will be like this. I think the wicket will be pretty good. And then that last session, last half of the second session, will be very interesting in the pink ball.
Then how has the players reacted to the pink ball so far? 3 sessions.
I think they're really excited. There's 4 fast bowlers who are very excited. So that's a nice thing. Bangladeshi fast bowlers don't get too excited that often. So I think there's coming to grips with the balls. You know, it's slightly different. SG pink ball. I think most guys' limited experiences have been around the Kookaburra one. But I think there's just excitement around it, real optimism, big crowd, obviously a lot of interest from the amount of people that are here. So for us and you know, for the whole team, there's a real joy to be able to play in this first pink ball test.
Sure.
Daniel, given the extra coat of lacquer on the pink ball, how difficult do you think it's going to be for the spinners?
I think that question's answered in the previous test matches have been played with the pink ball, and if I recall rightly, I might not be. The spinners haven't come into play as much. It has been about the seam bowlers, but I still think the spin bowlers play a big part in the nature of the game. So the first session, the first 2 sessions, I mean, the spinners could really be important. And you know, both teams played 2 spinners in the last game, so they are important to the makeup of both sides. So I don't see teams going too far away from that, because ultimately, most times, majority of test matches, spinners are required at some stage throughout the game.
So that extra coat of lacquer on the pink ball is not going to affect the pink?
I don't think so. From seeing the guys bowl so far, there's been no talk. They all enjoy the SG ball full stop. So I think the SG ball in pink has still been easy to bowl with and enjoyable to bowl with for the spinners so far.
Daniel, previously yours Eden Garden patches lots of bounce and in the wicket. So, is there any chance to play Mustafizur Rahman in these test matches?
Look, the selection's not for me, but I think the seamers did a great job in the last test match, Rahi and Eberdot, so they all come to the fore. And I think seeing games here in the past, the relayed wicket here over the last couple of years has definitely got a little bit more bounce. I see they warded the wicket and covered it again today, so I'm sure they don't want it to dry out. So, look, I think the seamers, because of the pink ball, the under lights, are going to play a big part in this test match.
Atif?
How are the batsmen coping with the wind?
Well, because we've only had maybe 1 session where it's slightly dark, I suppose they haven't really experienced a nighttime session, so tomorrow will be our first time when we'll probably get a full session under darkness with lights on, so we'll get to experience it there. But so far so good, because the pink ball plays pretty normal at this time of day. It's generally been really positive, really optimistic about the test match and excitement around being involved in it.
Then we have seen you giving throwdowns on round-arm action to Liton Das, and we have seen Jadeja also bowl in such an action. So was that a preparation for Jadeja?
I can only throw round arms, so. No, I think, look, I can play my part with that. Obviously, Tajul bowls left arm spin, but watching Jadeja a lot over the years and seeing him firsthand, trying to help the guys deal with them and his variations and how skillful he is and the pace that he bowls more than anything. I think the pace that Jadeja bowls is the thing that batsmen have to really get used to.
Then what's your take on day-night test match? Is this the real future of test cricket?
I think it's a big part of test cricket. I think the fact that there's going to be so many people here, you have to acknowledge how important that is. And I think the way that people manage their time is trickier. So if you can extend a test match out into the night time, then it brings more and more people into it. And my experiences are only from watching pink ball test match on TV, and I really enjoyed it. So I love the game of cricket, I love watching it, so I think it has a big part in the future, but it'll be balanced out with day tests as well.
Daniel, just like you said earlier that it will have a different condition, twilight, queues, full house, altogether different type of atmosphere. So do you think that it will put an extra pressure on your players?
Not necessarily. It could almost have a T20 atmosphere, a one-day atmosphere, because if there's a big crowd, obviously Indian players are so recognisable wherever they go, and Indian public really loves them. So Kohli walking out to bat's going to feel like a T20, or Rohit, and if those guys get going. So I think there's going to be an atmosphere that probably no player has played in Test match conditions, and I think that brings another element to it. So there's so much to look forward to in this Test match.
Yeah, then how many Bangladesh players have really played a match with the ping ball at any level?
I'm not sure. Not too many.
Rabit, could you answer that?
We only had a ping ball match, first class match that was back in 2013. So I don't think any of the players have got the experience of playing ping ball cricket.
Just one match.
This group.
Any
of the players in this group?
And that was question.
Dan, did the spinners prepare any differently for this match? I mean, you guys have played with wet balls. And number two, players have said it's difficult to pick the seam in twilight. So you think which spinners like the ideal, I mean, they can be pushing?
I think spinners can still play a big part in pink ball tests. I think that it's slightly different here because of how early the sunset is. In previous pink ball test matches, it's sort of an hour and a half that's played under lights. So there's still a significant part of the test match that's played in normal conditions. So I think the spinner won't become redundant in pink ball test matches. We haven't done anything different. We tried to keep the same things going. But knowing that the spin bowler's role could be slightly different if we play the extra seamer, you have a different role rather than, you're probably more a holding role in the first innings to see how the game plays out.
Last three questions.
Dan, just started your stint as Bangladesh spin bowling consultant. You've obviously played in Bangladesh before, but how different is it now, and what do you think about the role going into the World T20 throughout this time?
Really excited. I think I obviously knew Tajul, I knew Miraj, but to see Naeem up close, I think Naeem's a special talent. Arafat Sunny was here as well. Saw a few guys back in Dhaka when I was there as well. So, look, I'm lucky that you come to Bangladesh and you're working with a lot of spin bowlers. So for me, it's an exciting opportunity. I knew there was going to be a lot to work with. I didn't quite, I suppose, appreciate the talent. I think there's a really good group of bowlers there who can grow. The more and more cricket they can get. So the more experience the three in particular that are here, I think will get better and better. And Biplop as well. I think it was so impressive during the T20s as well.
Question?
Anybody have a question? Anybody?
Thanks. Oh, sorry.
Please.
Sure.
Then you played lot of matches in India, against India, and what's your thought about Indian bowling to against batting with spin bowling, like Mayank Agarwal did good job against spin bowling. So what's your thinking about Indian batting against spin bowling the two past few years and now this?
Well, it probably brings back nightmares for me. The Indians have always been so dominant against overseas spinners. I think particularly the last 3 or 4 years, any spinner that's come to this part of the world has been put under a lot of pressure. And that's through the nature of the wickets, the expectation that the overseas spinners has to do a job, and also the skill that the Indian batsmen obviously have. So it's difficult being an overseas spinner coming over here, mainly because of the quality of batsmen. And we saw that, the pressure that Mayank put our spinners under, Rahane. So it's a tricky challenge. And when the wicket was as good as it was in indoor, there wasn't a lot to work with, and probably a bit similar here. So I don't think it's a case of overseas spinners coming here looking to dominate. It's to do your role as you would back home. So the economy rate, they're taking 2 for 60, 2 for 70 in the first innings, and then trying to see what the second innings presents you. I think that's the right way to go about it.
Daniel, as you trained for 2 days in indoor under lights, what's your thought on the twilight zone? I mean, with regards to visibility.
Visibility is fine. I think the only anecdotal conversations I've heard is around, being a little bit hard to pick up at square leg, point square leg. Those are the areas. So, whilst I haven't experienced myself, that's what I've heard from players. So that'll be interesting to find out if slips are picking it up well, gully, point, umpires, if they're able to see it that easy, because they say there's a small halo effect that the ball has. So Look, I think we're all excited about playing and seeing how it plays out. So rather than worry about those little things that could go wrong, I think the guys are just looking forward to it. That's what I've heard conversationally. So whether it is or not here could be different, but we'll soon find out.
Last question. Any last questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Dan, you're saying that you've seen a lot of spinners. So will you also be going back to Bangladesh to work, or is it a series by series?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a certain amount of days to work with the team. Obviously, the players have got BPL now, but my next engagement is the Pakistan series. Late January? Yeah. Late January.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.